What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Leadership Ignition Team podcast. We are excited to be on here today. We've got an amazing guest, but I'm going to kick it over to my friend. I'm Shane Beckham.
And I'm Mike Huff, and we're getting ready to go through another great episode, this time a special guest. So we've invited our friend Josh Brinson on. Josh, the guy that we like and respect. We love the way he lives his life. We've had lots of deep conversations in many settings, and I first met Josh in our previous venture, the Bike by Design group, but he and Shane know each other a little bit longer than that. So Josh, why don't we just get right into it, man? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Josh Brinson, and I'll start at the beginning and just kind of glaze over everything, and you guys stop me where you want to hear more. As I mentioned before, it's very Forrest Gumpy, and I say that I was on a call with a guy the other day, and he said, "Man, your past is like Forrest Gump," and I never thought about it like that, but not quite as successful. But
Did you start running around the world and people
minus the running part, but
I just wanted to get a little
the
clarity
world part
there.
does come in, So grew up on the farm, South Georgia, and you know how farm life can be. So that's where I learned the value of hard work and how to be the guy that just handles it. Be very self-sufficient. So
growing peanuts down there or what? What'd you growing down there?
peanuts, cotton, corn, cattle,
Okay.
pigs. A
No
little bit of
peaches?
everything.
Peaches?
No, too far south for that. That's a little bit more North Georgia. There were some areas, but no, we were more big crops.
Gotcha.
So, did that. High school, played a little bit of sports, some baseball, some soccer. It also kind of rotated around the farm schedule. So football was right in the middle of harvest season, and
You were getting out of that.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. So being on the cotton picker and packer at midnight during a football Friday night, that's how I spent a lot of time. So, but no complaints. Of course, at the time I did. But went to the recruiter in my, I think, junior year of high school, I want to say. I'd also started skydiving around that time. So he told him I wanted to be a SEAL, and he was like, "All right, well, you're crazy enough, that's for sure." And he leaned me a little bit more into the helicopter rescue swimmer. He was like, "Hey, try this out. If you still like it, then you can transition later." Which I'm glad he did. Looking back on it, I think I could have made it, but I was still too dumb to know one way or the other. Maybe that's why I would have made it. Just too dumb to quit. And from there, it was military, 5 years, helicopter rescue swimmer, crew chief, door gunner, anything you can do in a helicopter, we did it. Traveled the world, had a lot of good times. Got out and, met my wife in the last year that I was in, roughly. So we got married that last year. And then we both moved after my last deployment and got out to South Georgia. Went to work with my dad, who's got a rain gutter business, construction type thing, and also worked at the fire department, EMS during that time. We got into doing barbecue catering, a little bit of everything down there with him. From there, transitioned to, had some buddies call me up to go be a helicopter mechanic up at Blackwater, what used to be Blackwater, and then worked there for a number of years until the company moved to Florida. Then I transitioned to overseas contracting with the same company, fixed wing mechanic, helicopter mechanic, whatever they needed. From there, transitioned to Saudi Arabia for a number of years. Again, helicopter mechanic, and then
Did your wife go with you on them?
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
She could have, but it changed her rotation schedule. We had kids at the time, and didn't want to get caught up in all that. So, looking back on it, I would have liked to bring her over for a short period of time just to experience it, but there's really not much there. It would have been great on my off time to travel, but whenever you did that, they cut your off time back significantly due to offset the cost of, moving your entire family over and all that stuff. So no, she didn't make it over for that. So transition, I was doing all that. I was also, they threw me in the International Traffic and Arms Trade Compliance Officer position. Long story. Don't even want to ever look back in that area. If you guys know anything,
I don't want
to
know anything about it. That sounds like stuff we shouldn't know.
It's pretty bad. So anyway, got back in the box, mechanic, and then got a job here locally, just north of Nashville, working for Goodall Homes as a project manager, building houses. Did that for a few years. Got another call from a buddy to go back to Afghanistan, again as a fixed wing mechanic. Did that till COVID hit, and then went to work for another buddy here as a program manager for his construction company until 23, and then he kind of downsized the whole company. He'd been doing it for so long. He's like, I'm just kind of done. And so he quit doing that. I transitioned to my own company, which is now J&J Seamless Gutters. So I've got a rain gutter business. Easy barrier to entry. I already had the skill set from working with my dad. And then got my contractor's license. So now we do a little bit of everything. Rain gutters are, our main bread and butter, but we pick up commercial projects, residential stuff, all that good stuff. So I think that's the short of it. There's a bunch of stuff in the middle there. There's some, obviously fitness stuff, ran a barbecue sauce business, CrossFit coaching. There's probably more things that are going to come up in there along the way.
I'm hiring, man.
Hey, man, I did see that. But I heard the onboarding process was pretty tough.
It can be. The boss is a real ass.
Make the cut.
You'd have to start as an intern, Josh. I'm not sure you could handle it.
I know. I was like, ooh, I saw that. I was like, ooh, I don't know. That's going to be tough.
So that's an amazing set of activities, let's call it that you performed along the way. And the one thing that I know about you is that you are a man of character and drive and passion, and you think about things philosophically more so than a lot of people that I know. And so I'm just curious, all those experiences, how do you kind of describe what shaped you? Was it all of those things? Was some of those things? Was it, what were primarily learnings? What were primarily applications along the way?
Sure. I think the answer is yes to all of that.
Yeah.
But the perspective came when I started doing CrossFit, and that was 2012 when I went back to, when I went initially over to Afghanistan. And so prior to that, from getting out in 2006 to 2012, I didn't do a lot in the way of physical fitness. It was always kind of there. I might go for a run, or, hey, I'm going to get back in shape and work out for 3 or 4 days, and that's it, or read a magazine and get motivated for half a day or something, the same thing that everybody else does.
Yeah.
And, but in 2011, 2012, when I got back into that military vibe and that atmosphere and environment, I was like, I'm going to, I had nothing else to do other than work. I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to hit the gym. Found some workouts, again, back in the magazines, just doing whatever I could do. And that was when CrossFit started kind of becoming cool. Everybody heard about the games, and it was starting to really pick up steam. And so I found a local affiliate in Florida where we lived, and was very lucky to have some fantastic coaches with similar mindsets. And they taught it the right way, in my opinion, not let's go flail around, even though this is your first day and you don't know what you're doing and you have no background, and let's tear all the calluses off your hands the second day. And now I'm not going to say I didn't do some of that stuff, but my coaches weren't pushing me anywhere I didn't want to go, and they didn't believe I could go. And with the background I already had at that point, they were like, okay, cool. They let me just get after it when I could get after it. But everybody else was, they'd hold them back on the reins until they were ready to do more advanced type stuff. But that's where that, I actually started reading books again and learning more about the philosophy behind not just life, but fitness and the mindset and all the things that we talk about all the time to, in the podcast world, or reading books, or talking to clients and all that stuff. It started there, and then it just, I never looked back after that.
So how old were you? I'm sorry, Mike. How old were you when was this? How old were you then?
Please don't make me do math.
Give me an approximation here. I get
it. 20. So I don't know. I'm 42 now, or 43, and that was 2012.
So,
So
14 years ago. So,
yeah,
just
early 30s.
around 29, 30,
Yeah.
so just one of the things that you had said there, um, we talk about this a lot on here and to each other and to all my clients is physical fitness is the domino, man. In your case, it was definitely the domino. I mean, once that domino fell, it changed the entire trajectory of your entire life.
Yeah.
And it's not just, us that happens to, because it's happened to all three of us. Like, entire trajectory of life has changed. And it's not just yours. More often it's your offspring as well, because they see the way that you've navigated life since then. But I just always find that unique that it's usually in high performers, you have that catalyst, and oftentimes that catalyst is some version of physical fitness. That just always is very unique to me, and I wanted to kind of bring that up. And my other follow-up question is, now when you were in the Navy, did you see overseas deployments like then, or did you spend most of your time overseas as a general contractor?
Yes to both. So when I was in the Navy, just a month or two after getting my first squadron, I got sent over to meet up with some group that was already on deployment in the Mediterranean. That was, 2003 when the global war on terror first kicked off. And so I got shipped out to there, met up with those guys, spent a deployment doing that, and then multiple smaller deployments around all various places during my time. Those were more kind of cakewalk stuff down in the Caribbean and random other, Canada and other places. And then my last deployment was in Bahrain, where we just kind of went out to the Gulf to wherever they wanted us to go, whether it was bouncing around from ship to ship, Kuwait, or whatever we needed to do.
As you were talking, I ran across just some similarities here that I thought were interesting. All three of us are military guys. I mean, I was in the best branch, but you guys were in the military too, I guess.
We'll let you
Um,
have it for now.
all three of us were EMTs. Well, interestingly, barbecue catering. So what our other buddy George Kano does, right? So that's kind of, and then all three of us were in the trades of some type. At one point in time, I was a mason tender and had done some other work along the way. What's your take on that, Josh? What do you think? What do you think makes that sort of personality come here together?
I don't know. That's a good question, because if you really look at those separately, like look at firefighter EMTs, most of those guys aren't in the best shape.
Yep.
Look at the trades. Most of those guys aren't in the best shape. Look at barbecue, not in the best shape. If you're not 300 pounds, you're not a good, you can't cook apparently. So it's a weird dynamic that we were all of those things, and here we are.
Yeah.
So I don't know what glue holds all that together. It is interesting though.
I think a lot of it's generational. We're all similar in age, not quite. Mike and I are identical, but you're not far behind us. But I feel like we kind of grew up in that sweet spot, and I'm not downplaying anybody that was before or after. Obviously, the people that grew up before us worked very hard. They didn't have the amenities and things that we have by any stretch of the word. But,
Haven't you seen my grape with podcasting?
yeah, just we kind of are fortunate in our own ways of our upbringings of what we did and didn't have. And comparatively, life is drastically different now than it was when we were kids. We were the last run of no cell phones and, 3 channels on the TV, the
Yeah.
the things that are
Yeah.
clearly gone forever. We were
Sure.
the last generation that was outside riding our bikes from sunup to sundown, So I have to imagine that some of that, the way that we were just brought up and our generation has, put us in a position to kind of have that that drive, that mentality, that edge, if you will, that you don't see as much anymore. You know, it's just not as prominent. When you run across a youngster that has it, man, you try to snag them up and keep them forever because it's a rare quality anymore. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know that that makes any sense, but I definitely, you know, I look back across the years of my life, and I'm thankful for the difficult upbringings, because it's definitely made a difference in who I am, and probably most likely who we all three are as well. So
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So your character, I think, shines through in a lot of things you do, and I've seen some of your videos on social media, training videos, which we're going to get to in a minute, but also about your business and how you treat your customers. And so, tell us about that. You know, what are your core philosophies in the world of running your company? What are your core values? What do you believe in, and how do you ensure that your customers see that as you deliver the product?
I mean, again, it kind of goes back to what Shane was just saying. You know, my my dad or parents, if you will. I mean, they always held me to a higher standard. You know, I remember back in the day, you know, just washing their cars on the farm when I couldn't really run the bigger equipment like I did all the other things, and you know, sending me back, hey, you did okay, but can you go do it again? You know, and building that standard now when I go wash a vehicle, I'll be there all day long, you know, like a true detail job, you know, but, and I've always just done that with anything that I do, whether it be coaching. When I was coaching, CrossFit gym, I treated everything as if it were my own. And I do the same thing with every client. When I go to their home, I'm looking to a fault. I look at it as if it were my own. And when I see some tiny detail that's off, I'll fix that. You know, and I just probably go over and above what most people do just for that reason, because I can't, it comes in really handy as an aircraft mechanic because you don't want to miss any details in that world.
no,
Um,
you do not.
you know, some people are still okay with that. Like, nah, it'll be fine. I'm like, I'm not okay with, it'll be fine on an
Speed
airplane,
tape
you
it.
know?
You'll be fine.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us
Yeah.
who that is. I'll make sure not to schedule that.
Yeah. But no, it's, that's how I do it, man. I take the calls for the small jobs, you know, that most people, oh, are too busy to do that. But, you know, case in point, Thursday, a guy called me, had a short little repair. And so I said, yeah, I'll come by and take a look at it. Stop by. And he's like, man, I've already called 4 other people and it's either too small or they charge way too much for it. It's not worth their time, et cetera, and so forth. Well, I gave him a fair price. He went ahead and accepted it on the spot. And then he also, while I was there, referred me to 3 neighbors around him. And so I ended up doing 4 estimates in one time, instead of just the one based on a 20-foot piece of gutter, you
That's
know,
Yeah,
awesome.
that's, you
and
know,
so,
something to Josh's credit. You know, when I first met Josh was when we were doing the full renovation at the gym. And so just to kind of parallel how I met Josh works with, and he can tell this better than I, but he works with the leasing company that I rent the building from. And I remember calling, my agent, and you know, we were getting ready to put the flooring down, and we pulled all the old flooring up and got down, and it was just this old concrete floor. But over by so if you come to the gym, it's all windows across the front, and they're very old, um, drafty, hot in the summer, cold in the winter, but
mhm.
water was getting in somewhere. I didn't know where, but there was puddles, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work, you know. So she sent Josh by, and this was on a Sunday. Well, she sent Josh by. He took a look at it, told me he'd be back. We kind of had some interactions, talked a little bit, and I just happened to, you know, be working in the gym on Sunday because back then it was just getting everything ready. And he didn't stop at, you know, the thing about Josh, and I learned this real quick, and it kind of developed into a bigger friendship. But because I watched him, his preparation for what he was doing, he was going to reseal just that area. Well, he noticed that when he got started, none of the windows across the front had any been sealed, or it was
Yeah.
just in disarray. So instead of just concentrating on the one area that had the leak, he took time, he prepped, he cleaned the old out, and he went through on a Sunday and did all of it. And then he said, look, I gotta run. I'll be back here tomorrow to finish up. You got some spots over at the front door. So, that's when I knew, like, well, this guy's, he's for real, just a little, I can't really make that story have much justice, but just above and beyond. And, so much of that, I tell people this all the time, like, you find a guy like Josh, it's, it's refreshing. It's like when someone actually says thank you or is nice to you in a checkout line now. It's such rare that you appreciate it more. And, I, he's just a good dude. And I can tell immediately of his, I'm trying to make a parallelism here because that told me everything I needed to know about Josh. That one interaction told me everything. And guess what? Everything I thought checks out. Everything that I thought immediately, as I got to know him more. Yep. Cares about his fitness, cares about his health. Yep. Former service guy. Yep. I could go down the list because I see a lot of things that I emulate with. And I'm like, I get it. This guy gets it. He's going to do me a fantastic job, but it's not just me. He doesn't know me. He does this for everybody. So
But
I
I
just
think
thought
that's
that was cool.
the beauty of the point is, look, we all carry our resumes on our faces and on our actions all day long, every day. I tell my team members all the time, look, even when you don't think that you're in the spotlight, you're always in the spotlight. And so Josh, just to do that little job for that guy and to walk into Shane's gym and I assume you had to get permission to do all that work that was required to get done, but you figured it out and you got it all done. You didn't have to because just done the shit. You got permission to begin with, but that just isn't your style. So I have to imagine as you're ripping gutters off and replacing and you're running across your competitors' work routinely, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear more about that. You don't have to name them, but if you want to, you can. But tell me about these competitors that you see that are not living J&J style. What do you see in the work? What frustrates you about it?
The biggest frustration is probably variance in price for one.
Right.
In this industry, it's I don't know, like it's a super important like part of your home and business because I always tell people it's the first line of defense for your foundation or whatever surrounds that, be it windows or whatever. So if you're not collecting that water and distributing it where it needs to go away from your foundation, home or business, then you're going to have major problems in the future. And one of the biggest things, like everybody downplays it so much, and I don't know if it's because of the price or some of the other characters that do this line of work, because it's not like you have to have a real license to install rain gutters, you just kind of got to put it up there and make the water go one way or the other, so it's not rocket science, but there's so many people that the price range will go from $3 a foot to $25 to $30 a foot, and how do you say this is the industry standard, or this is a fair price, when you've got that much of a swing where there's these larger competitors that come in and rob people, through their eyeballs. And usually it's older folks and people that don't know any better and take advantage of that. And that's probably my biggest pet peeve with this industry in particular. They come in and sell, start off at, hey, I'll $23,000. And next thing you know, they're an hour later, their sales rep's just beating this old lady up, oh, we'll get it down to $15,000. And then I come in, I'm like, no measurements, just, hey, I'm just going to guess I'll be around $3,000 or $4,000.
Wow.
And that's me making money, getting the job done right. And it's just that much of a markup with some of these larger companies. It's unreal. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, you've got guys that come in and do it really cheap. They're really fast. They get it done from the ground. It looks great, but who's going to get up on a ladder and actually check and see if it's actually installed properly? So those are probably the biggest common things that we run into.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, you've probably seen it a million times. You see I remember, we had hail damage here. Actually, Shane was at my house. We got to take hail, destroyed his wife's car. It was parked right outside look for my office here. Brand new car. But we had what, 3
Yeah.
weeks?
Yeah, it was brand new, man.
And anyway, so hail damage comes, and I get 4 guys over here to quote this place. And it was, the roof, the gutters, the whole thing.
Sure.
But it was amazing how variable those prices were. And
Yeah.
you could just tell that. Yeah. And then again, I was really trying to dig in on who did I trust as a human being versus the price itself.
And that's the key right there is trust, so going back to one of your previous questions, when I go meet someone, it's how do I establish trust with this person? Because that's what's going to get that's what's going to get anybody to buy into anything, regardless of, do I trust their marketing? Do I trust them face to face? What's the deal? It's all about
Yep.
trust.
So that's, the 3 things I tell my coaches nonstop: know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
You master those 3 things and you've got it there on your side forever. You break one, you've lost them forever. And
Well,
the other
it's
thing, to Josh's point, and I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you. Your business model is you want to do things the right way. Well, I've started leaning in on the fast food industry, and I ask clients all the time, my potential clients, and it just reminds me of you. Like, and I don't eat a lot of fast food. Sure, I do some.
Mm-hmm.
I ask everybody the same. I'm about to give a shameless plug to somebody. Ask everybody this question. And I think as a business owner, I want this to be my model moving forward, no matter what business I'm in. I say, have you ever eaten Chick-fil-A? And they'll say, yes. And I'll say, can you give me one time that you've had a bad experience? Out of the hundreds of people that I've asked that question to, you know how many people have said that they've had a bad experience?
zero.
So I tell them, I am the Chick-fil-A of the gym world. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't more businesses emulate that? Because to Josh's point, he went and showed up for a small job. He just got 3 more. You know why? Because they feel like they know him. They seem to like him, and they generally trust him. I'm just saying, the recipe is there, dude.
Well, Jets, I think you guys know this, but for our audience, that is true in every business of any type, anywhere in the world. So you guys are in the B to C environment. You're serving customers directly. I was in the B2B environment, gigantic contracts, hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. Every one of those contracts depended on whether or not people knew me, they trusted me, and they liked me. Because when the shit hits the fan and things go wrong, they have to know that you're going to be there to fix it. And if that's not the case, and so if that's true in our 3 worlds, which are totally different from each other, that's got to be true in every world.
Yeah. 100%.
Mike, you want to jump into some fitness and discipline questions?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What do you got, Shane?
So, we've covered a little bit of your background, your backstory with your military and what you're currently doing. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the fitness world. So you're also a fitness coach. You crank it out, you do the work, you are your own billboard. And I think that matters.
Yeah.
None of us are going to hire a fitness coach that is 300 pounds peddling barbecue, right? That ain't gonna happen. No offense,
but there's plenty of them out there.
Yeah, there is.
It's
I mean,
strange.
so in the world of fitness coaches, where did the passion come from to help other humans do better?
It came from being selfish. Because I've always enjoyed learning, from the EMT background. The human body has always fascinated me. How does it work? Learning what drugs do what, and, going through school and how everything plays a role and how just all the systems work. It always fascinated me. And then when I got into the CrossFit world, and that really opened my mind, to more than just the bodybuilding, like, let's go eat some bland chicken and broccoli, and you do this split Monday through Friday. And, that's all great stuff. I still do a lot of that stuff, but like, there's got to be more, and when I got into that world, and as I said, I had some fantastic coaches, that I've met around the world, and they put me on to so many different philosophies and way to think about everything. And so I just kept consuming. And as you guys all know from each industry, like you start to look around and go, this knowledge that now we've consumed for years isn't quite so common, you know? So, you know, I didn't start coaching people because I wanted to be a coach. I went and got my coaching certificate with CrossFit just for additional knowledge. And the week that I got back, the gym caught wind of it. I was like, hey, can you start next week? You know, and because I'd already been going there for a while, so they knew me and they were like, hey, you'd be a great coach. So jump right in. And when I did that, that's kind of what I guess lit the fire for the coaching, was seeing what I could do to help someone overcome such what may be a simple obstacle. You know, I've had people in class, so you know, we do box jumps or something, and they're like, what do you mean? Like how you just jump on the box, you know? And they're like, I don't know what you're like. How does that work? And you know, we're having to jump off something this high on the floor, or someone with a, you know, overweight that's like, I can't do that. Okay, cool. Let's figure out what you can do. And then from there, it just, I don't know, it just took off. And again, never looked back. I just really enjoyed helping everybody, meeting them wherever they're at. I know that's such a cliche, overused term these days, but it holds true. I mean, that's literally how I do things, whether it be fitness or construction or whatever. But and the fitness is, once that passion got lit, it's just hasn't slowed down.
Yeah, I love your messaging in your social posts about your coaching. You know, the last couple have been things like, you know, what's holding you back. You just got to start somewhere. You know, I love that messaging from you. As you know, Shane and I do fitness coaching as well, outside of what he's doing in the gym.
Yeah,
And our target audience is 40 to 50 to 60-year-old men. Particularly, that's a passion that we have because that's what we got our act together and found
sure.
fitness and the change it had for us. Is that your target clientele as well, primarily?
It is now. I
Yeah.
mean, that target always changes a little. I mean, that's where my focus is now. Just because of the fact that I don't know if it's because I'm at that point now, that I see what it's done for me over the years. I mean, even in my 30s, I mean, in my 30s, I was doing this, and I was meeting people in their 20s that told me they're too old and too out of shape to do these things. And then, you know, here we are. Oh, you know, and you always hear the same thing. Oh, wait till you hit 30. Wait till you hit 40. Okay, still waiting, you know? And it comes from a place of, you know, not really knowing what real fitness is. It's not just getting in shape for that one trip to the beach and then letting it go. And like, it's living it. When you live it, it's not quite so bad as everybody makes it out to be. When you're trying to cram everything in 30 to 90 days just for one thing, yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt, you know?
Hell, it's not only not so bad, it's the highlight of my day. Some of us are 50,
Yeah,
by the way, and you
yeah,
always hear the wait till you're 50 crowd, right?
right.
Yeah, still
Exactly.
still working just fine.
Yeah, but if you look around, like especially in the trades, if you
Yeah,
will, and even in, you know, Mike, in your professional world, look at the execs that run most of these companies.
yeah.
Fat, dumb, and happy. You know, it's the term we had in the military, and we, you know, you see it everywhere. You know, going back to the EMT firefighter, they're not as physically fit as everybody wants to think they are. I mean, and I wish it were different. And that's who I'm trying to speak to. At this point in time, you know, maybe it'll land somewhere coming from someone in that age bracket. And that's one of the reasons I focus on that age bracket right now. Otherwise, you know, I've always enjoyed coaching pretty much anybody that'll listen. But when you're actually at that point of, okay, I'm in my 40s, I'm still doing this. These are the guys that are like, oh, I'm too old for that or whatever. Like, are you? Like, here we are, you know,
Well, I was going to
50s,
ask you what
here we are.
the biggest lie that guys in their 40s, 50s tell themselves. So I'm guessing that's what you would say, that it's, you know, this idea that you can't get
Yeah.
started, you're too old, you're too past the prime. You can't. Yeah,
Yeah, and that it's too difficult. This
yeah,
stuff isn't as hard as everybody makes it out to be. It's difficult. It is whenever you look at those extreme, the people that really have all the big ads online. No offense, Shane, I've seen a lot of your ads. Um, but that's not the ones I'm talking about. It's, how to lose 50 pounds in 30 days. And you get on these extreme diets and they work for a reason because they are terrible. They suck.
It's
And
snake oil, man.
yeah. And that's probably the other thing, the misconception is that you have to be that extreme guy. I mean, and for all of us, I mean, we get after it pretty good. And some days we're really getting after it. And other days, not so much. But at the same time, like, everybody thinks you have to be this extreme fitness freak to be in good shape and good health at 40, 50, 60 years old. And that's not the case.
No, it's really not. And if you break it down to a more of a micro level, like the macro level is, okay, I need to get in shape. And, one of the things that I've been teaching more and more of to women or men, look, we want to build the foundation first. And what I want to start with is just, we got to get you being consistent with one thing, because what I see and what I've seen over the collection of data over, 3.5 years now, or sorry, 2.5 years of owning the gym, it's the same. Everybody has the New Year mindset, no matter when they pull the trigger. Okay, think about the New Year mindset. What does not everybody, but what does a vast majority of the human population do? Done drinking, done smoking, going to start eating better, going to go work out 6 days a week, going to get 12 hours of sleep a night. You layer 8 to 9 to 10 things, right? Immediate failure. You ain't doing all 8 of those at once. No human is.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we break it down now. Let's take this one step at a time. Okay, what's number one? Come to the first workout. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you're just talking about what's 2 or 3 non-negotiables, right? This is what I tell everybody. Start with one workout and then build yourself up to at least a minimum of 3 a week. Can you do this 3 days a week? You got 7 days in a week. Can you give me 3? Okay. That's your baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to that point, once we enter into the second week, okay, how do you feel? Feel good. Okay, let's ride that dopamine high. Let's go to 4. Let's go to 5. What can you tolerate? Okay, now that you're 2 weeks in, tell me about your nutrition a little bit more, because now we've built the first layer of the foundation, which is just coming to the damn gym.
Right.
We don't want to layer it all on at once. So now you're going to start building the layers of the cake. No pun intended, but you've got the foundation coming to the gym. Then I say, okay, Mike, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're a maniac and eat everything in sight, 10 being that you're the most disciplined human on the planet. Where are you right now? Now, be honest with me, because I eat pretty good. Shit, what does that mean?
Always.
Right.
Are you writing any of that down? Do you have any idea what you're ingesting? Well, no. So then you have no clue. Like you're throwing darts at a moving target. And until you get that defined. But the second thing is, I wanted to say to guys specifically, they have no idea how bad their diets are. Guys and gals, they have no clue how bad it is. And they think they're eating good. They're eating terrible, because most of the stuff that they're ingesting is full of carbohydrates, stuff that's terrible for them, adding into that fat storage, or grossly under eating. Women especially. And I try to explain this to them. Look, if your body's like a fuel gauge, if you got an F and an E, if you're under eating, everything you put in is going into the fat storage. It ain't coming loose. So when you come in here and kick your butt, you know where you're getting your energy from? Your muscle. You're not gaining nothing. So to your point, Josh, I'm tying this all back to what you're saying is, it's the misunderstanding, because none of that is taught ever throughout their whole lives. In fact, they're usually taught the wrong way, like the food pyramid getting flipped on its head. They've been taught wrong their entire lives. And now they have this conception is, for me to be able to get into shape, I've got to go to the gym 7 days a week, work out 2 hours a day, and eat nothing.
Yeah.
Couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, it's just, to your point, the educational aspect of fitness is grossly there needs to be more of that. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why you jumped into the pool, is you want to be able to help teach people how to do this properly. So appreciate that.
Well, Josh's comment about it being this common knowledge is stuff that's very easy for us to understand. It's all simple stuff, by the way, as well. It's not complicated. What did I just say? Complicated? It's not complicated.
It's maniacal.
Sounded maniacal.
Right. We know what you meant. Good thing there's a delete button on this app. So It isn't complicated, but it is not common. I mean, my own kids don't even know that. Hell, it wasn't common to me. So
Yeah.
it's not judgmental to say, well, what do you mean you don't know this? That's not. We know
Right.
people don't know. We didn't know shit. Sounds like
Yeah, but
Josh knew a
look,
lot longer than we did.
we're a bunch of men that know everything, and that's who
Yep.
we're,
Yep.
in
That's who
my
we're
case
talking to.
particular. So I'm trying to talk to, and it's like you're beating your head against a brick wall trying to get through to other men. They're the worst ones. I mean, they need to take the lead of all the women. Shane, all the husbands, where are they at?
Oh, trust me. And it's the worst, and
Like,
what breaks my heart is when a husband will forcibly make a wife leave over that clearly is doing well and loves the programming.
sure.
They've got the damn money and they force them to quit. And I'm like, it kills me. I'm like, you're a piece of shit husband, man.
Yeah.
You really are.
Because they're projecting their laziness onto them, and it's making them
Absolutely.
feel bad.
It drives me crazy, but I mean, I just gotta,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask a question about it. It's kind of amorphous, but love to hear your thoughts on it. What's one hard truth that people really need to hear, but usually avoid?
Probably that they're fat and they need to do something.
I was listening to some radio show the other day, and it was fun. I don't know, it was a comedy podcast, and the guy's talking about how he goes to his doctor. His doctor's quite happy to tell him, "Hey, you're a fat slob. Get your act together." But do you think that doctor would ever say the same thing to a woman? Probably not. But
No.
even when I was hearing it from my doctor, he's saying, "Look, your blood pressure is increasing. Your cholesterol's through the roof. You're probably your BMI is ridiculous." And I don't care what my BMI is, but back then it mattered because of the shape I was in. I would just say, "Yeah, I got it," and I'd go run for a couple weeks, and I'd stop, and I'd just still eat all the same, still
Sure.
crush a pizza every night when I was in the hotel, etc. So yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, no one wants to hear it, and no one also wants to
Right.
say it to somebody else. I think that's
Sure.
probably right.
Sure. And let
It's
me go back a
difficult.
little bit. You reminded me of one of the other misconceptions that it drives me crazy is you said it. When your doctor tells you that, you went running for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And there's people out there, don't get me wrong, but running, no wonder everybody starts and then they stop. They're like, oh, I need to go run and do cardio to lose all this weight. Well, you're destroying your knees, your back, your hips, your joints, all these things. I wouldn't keep up doing it,
And it's torture.
So
It's torture.
it is. It's absolutely terrible, even when you're in shape.
And to Shane's point earlier, you're going to slow down your intake at the same time. So you're really, you're pulling some fat off, sure, but you're also destroying muscle mass. So we all now know strength training is the key to fitness.
It
We all
is
now know.
100%.
Yeah, you want to incorporate a little bit of that in there?
Sure.
Fine.
Get it in.
But no.
Come to boot camp is what you're saying, Josh.
That's right. That's right.
We
Get in there.
do both.
That's right. Yeah.
So you told me something today that I just kind of blew my mind. A guy your age has decided you're going to park the business for a minute, work for somebody else so you can make room to do what? Tell us what your plan is.
So a few years ago, 2021, I got my private pilot's license. So I always tell everybody I worked my way backwards through the airplane, skydiving in high school, crew chief, mechanic, might as well sit in the front seat a little bit. So
Sure.
I got my private pilot's license and 21. And then I started doing some follow-on instrument commercial ratings training around the same time I started a business. Quickly realized that that's a terrible idea. Trying to start and run a business and do all the flight training. And so let the flight training go for a little while. And then now I've decided to get back into it. So starting, I think it's May or June, I'll be going back full time, working my way through all the ratings to go be a commercial pilot, whether it be fly for Southwest or a corporation or whoever. But yeah.
That's a big change at this age. As you know, I've been in that industry for a long time. My brother's a Delta captain, and it's man, that's a tough road. That's a tough road for anybody. So, are you prepared for
is.
that? You're gonna fly 5 to 8 years for a regional before you ever get paid a dime.
Oh yeah, 100%. And and I told my wife too. I said, I'm still going to be in this industry and everything, but I was like, I've got 15 to 20 plus years an aviation experience alone outside of everything else.
Yeah.
I was like, so I've been in this world a lot longer than I've done anything else as an adult. And not only that, but I'm physically capable enough to pass the first class medical, which is not an easy thing to do even at some of the younger ages. So why not take full advantage of it? And whether I go to Southwest or one of those other larger companies, or fly, for a corporate company here in Nashville, the possibilities are endless, flying for whoever. And so, yeah, figured why not? And if nothing
You know,
else, I can
it
just be
brings
a
up a
really
good
safe private
point.
pilot.
Obviously, clearly a little different path than I took, but similar, somewhat similar age, a little bit younger than I was when I pulled the trigger to step away from the world that I knew and go all in and open a gym. But I like your approach. People ask me all the time, like, man, and people want, they see stuff on online, if you don't like what you're doing, just do what you dream. And that's real easy to say, as
Real easy.
extremely challenging and difficult to actually do. But the approach that you've taken was smarter than mine. One, you're going back into a field that
I'm
you're
not sure about
very,
that.
very,
I'm not going
well,
to
you're
take
very,
that
very
much credit.
comfortable with what you're going into, right? It's a knowledge-based decision. But the way that you've approached it, like you have a good vision plan for how you wanted to do it, right? And that's what I always caution people is like, look, that the carrot dangle is real, but you have to be real cautious of when you choose to take a bite out of that carrot, and you better be prepared because, if I'm being real and honest, once the smoke settles and all this is whatever for me years down the road, I already admit it. Like I was underprepared for what I did. I don't know, say it was a knee jerk, but I was not nearly as prepared for what was coming my way when I made that life switch. And it feels to me like you've understood that, you've done some homework, and now that you're preparing to enter back into that phase. So kudos for you. But I want to talk a little bit in the next question, just say, what would you say to somebody who feels like it's too late to chase a new path? Because we both did it in our 40s.
Sure.
What finally pushed you to make that decision? And what do you say to somebody when they say, damn, dude, you're going for this now? What's your answer to that?
Actually, my son and I had a similar conversation yesterday. He's 18, getting ready to probably go in the Army. He's working through his initial training or MEPS, and then deciding what he wants to do. But we were talking about taking risks, and the risk versus reward kind of conversation. And I told him, I said, it's a weird place to be right now for me because, as I alluded to earlier, I'm too dumb to quit when it comes to doing things. And so I'm in a way, I'm quitting doing what I'm doing now. And that feels very weird. And like, man, I'm quitting a business that I started just a few years ago to start something else. And either way, I have no idea what the future holds. But I do know one thing is that I don't want to get 10 years down the road and go, man, I wish I would have, And so that's probably, regardless of what it is, whether it's a job, starting a business. We talk about starting businesses, and I allude to it a lot on my videos. But that's one thing that, like, it's a misconception that only entrepreneurs can do these things that we do. We just are high level thinkers, and yeah, we probably get overwhelmed doing a lot of the things that we do and jumping in feet first, whether prepared or not. But that fear holds so many people back from doing anything. That whole, like, oh, I need to be prepared. Like, that'll get, sure. Calculated risks are one thing, and sometimes you just got to jump in and see what happens. So I'm a little bit of both, probably more so like jump in and see what happens kind of guy. Ask my wife, because she's the same thing. She's like, really? She's like, let's just let this be it. I'm like, okay, you know, and I hope so. But I'm, I go where life takes me. And if I'm capable of doing something and it's something that falls into my wheelhouse, and I know that I'm, um, I don't know. So I guess the right man for the job kind of mentality. Like, why not? Because send me. Who else?
I like that.
That's kind
I
of
like that.
my thought process on some of that.
Mike, you want to move into some rapid fire here? I think Mike looks like he's
Like,
frozen on my screen.
same here.
All right. Well, we're going to see if he can get rejoined, and hopefully everything's still going smooth with the cast here. But we'll go into some rapid fire and
Sure.
personal insight questions. So I thought for a second he was just really locked into you because
I was
he's
like,
got
yeah, I
this.
was like, man,
He's got this real intense look on his face, like he's
that
laser
1,000-yard stare
focused.
going.
All right. So rapid fire personal insight. Four questions. Just kind of come with what comes up on your mind. So what's one habit that changed your life?
Getting up super early, regardless. As you said earlier about, getting to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, for me, it was just getting in the habit of getting up early. So I started with just getting up early with nothing planned. I'm going to be up at 4 a.m. or whatever, have a cup of coffee. The next day, same thing, just getting in the habit of getting up. And then it was adding to it slowly over time to now it's, fitness and reading and, whatever it become. But yeah.
All right. So I know the answer to this. Morning routine or night owl?
Both, man. I'm cursed to be both because getting up early, I know I have to because otherwise the rest of my day just takes over and I can't. I don't want to say I can't.
What's early? What's early mean to you?
So my alarm goes off at 3:30 to 3:45,
Mm.
and I'm usually try to be up by 4, depends on what I got going on. But yeah.
What's bedtime?
Uh, trying to be lights out at 10 so that I can be up.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm shooting for 5 to 6 range.
Yeah, I'm
But
in the
but
same
like I
window.
said, I can when I get on a roll, I can stay up all night and just lock in and grind,
I
and
get
then I'm
tired,
like,
dude.
do I just stay up?
No, I get
I
tired.
love my bedtime, don't get me wrong, but when I'm locked in on something, I'm like, I could do it all night, so.
Got you. All right. Biggest personal weakness you've had to overcome.
Perfectionism and still working on it.
Yeah,
There he
man.
is. There he is.
Welcome back, Mike. Welcome back. I share that
I am
same
sorry, guys.
issue.
Jeez.
That's
All
okay.
good.
Here we go.
So we're going through the rapid fire questions and we're on number 3, the personal weakness. I am a massive perfectionist and it's bad.
Yeah.
It's hard to be a leader and have that quality as one of your higher tendencies because you unintentionally do it and don't mean to.
Yeah.
But how I've kind of done this, I'm curious to get your thought. I know this is a rapid fire question, but when it comes to perfectionism, now I tell the team, look, I don't expect anybody to be perfect. What I expect is you to hold the high standard, right? There's a difference between being perfect and having high
Sure.
standards. So is that kind of how you've managed through that?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It was as long as the end result is in that same where it needs to be. If you get there a different way, okay,
There you go. I like that.
But
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get here as long as the end result's the same and what the
yeah,
expectation is. I tell the coaches, look, these are the guardrails that I'm going to put you inside. You may bounce off of them. I don't care. But if you go
yeah,
over the guardrail, what happens? You crash and burn. So let's stay within the guardrails, be yourself. Because at
mhm,
the end of the day, I don't care how you get there,
yeah.
as long as you get there and hold the standard. So last question on the personal insight rapid fire. One book or influence or influencer that shaped your mindset?
I mean, given that it's Easter, I'm gonna have to go with the Bible.
Well played.
You know,
Well played, sir. I would,
um, yeah, and just a quick elaboration on that is, I talked about getting into fitness years ago and didn't grow up, in a super religious family, everything. We went to church and summer Bible schools and stuff like that, but it was never like a regimented thing. And then as the more I get into fitness and got into fitness, that was a part of me that also grew with it. And, I've had some great mentors along the way. And in
okay.
the last few years, I've really, really made it a huge part of my life.
Gotcha. And typically you see a lot of that happening when a man or woman locks in, right? That first domino falls, which is typically fitness. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You know, the next dominoes that are going to fall are just going to be continuing self actualizations and getting better one area of your life at a time. And, you know, we just see that happen all the time. Mike, you want to go through some of the closing here as we put a bow on top of this dude?
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of our four F bombs already: faith, family, fitness, finance. We didn't talk about your family a whole lot, Josh. So, let's just do that for a quick second, if you don't mind, as we close up. Tell us about your family a little bit. Who's in the family unit? Where's everybody based, and what's going on
Yeah.
with everyone?
Yeah. So the family unit, man, they are really the thing that keeps me pointed north, So my wife, Jackie, and my two boys, Jacob and Jack. Jacob is the one I talked about earlier, going in the military here fairly soon, And then Jack, he's my 16-year-old, and he's probably going to end up in one of the branches as well. He decided that a while back, just because he said it seems like an easy choice. And I said, I'm not going to argue.
Don't
He's
know
got a
about
great
that, my
mindset
friend.
around it.
Yeah.
Well, his thought process was, this was when he was 13, 14. And I was like, okay, we hadn't really talked about it a lot. And I said, well, tell me about it. And he said, well, I just show up and do what they tell me to. They give me a place to live.
Hey,
They give me
that's
food.
truth.
I don't have to worry about what to wear. I was like, okay,
That's
can't argue
better
with
than
that.
the alternative, which would be prison. This
Correct.
equally the
Those are the two
same.
places. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And it might feel like prison sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But no, yeah, they've put up with all of my travels over the world, around the world this whole time. But they are the reason that I really dive into this from a personal development standpoint. Because I'm always striving to be a better husband, better father for all of them each and every day. I mean, people from the outside looking in might be like, oh, this guy's got it all figured out, but I'm no different than anyone else when it comes to, having a bad temper some days, not having all the right answers, making mistakes left and right every day, sometimes the same one over and over again. No different. But I say the difference is I actually try to do something to make it better instead of just repeating it over and over again and thinking everybody else is the problem. And so I'm constantly trying to be a better husband, for Jackie, because, Shane, with the amount of women that you coach, like I said, the women are in there. They're the leaders of the family unit, believe it or not. Everybody thinks it's the man, but most men are not being the leader. The wife is, and it's striving to be better for her, and then being that example for my kids. And now, I'm starting to get there. I think, my kids are both, doing really well. They're both got their own workout programs and jobs. And, some days Jackie and I look around and go, so we actually did a decent job, like every other day we think we've lost mother or father of the year, but turns out they're pretty good kids. So I don't know, must be doing something right.
Well, that's just awesome to hear, man. And I think what Shane said earlier is true, right? There's if let's say today that you've got a family, you've got a great job, but you don't have your faith, your fitness figured out. You don't know what you believe, and you don't know you're not taking care of yourself. Those other
Sure.
two facets can't be as strong as you think they are, if that's true.
Right.
And I think the second that we talked about, fitness being a gateway, I think it is the gateway to building discipline that allows you to have discipline in the other areas of your life too. It builds and like you talked about, it's not the thing about fitness, why I keep coming back to this, the thing about fitness is it's not about how explosive or how fast you push yourself. It's
Sure.
about the consistency and the discipline. And that is what now parallels everything else in your life. The discipline to be a better husband, to be a better father, to learn what you're screwing up on and get after it. Same thing on the job. What kind of discipline did it take for you to do what you do with Shane and with your other customer? Significant compared to your competitors, right? And so I just think that, what you've described in this entire interview is this idea of personal motivation. Motivation is the wrong word. Personal discipline to drive all facets of those four F bombs through your life. And so a question for you as we close up is if you're somebody's listening and they're feeling stuck in one of those four F bombs and what's your message to that person? What do you want them to hear from you?
Well, as you were saying that, it made me think about a quote, and I'm probably butchering it now, but it's like if a man is right, his world will be right. You know, because you can only control so many things, and usually it starts in here. And if you can't control this, then everything else is going to be chaos as well. And that, you know, looking back at all the things that I talked about doing over the years, traveling overseas, all these jobs, all these things that I've done in my life, you know, I my family was at the root of every bit of that. And if I weren't, in my opinion, if I didn't do all these things, you know, that seemingly look selfish, like taking care of myself and the fitness and all these things, like are selfish at some point. But if I didn't do these things, I guarantee you I would have been a terrible husband and father along the way, because I would have let my emotions control me and wouldn't have had outlets to express myself and you know, relieve stress and all these things that we deal with as men, fathers, leaders, etc. And so that's why another reason I'm trying to speak to those 40, 50-year-old dudes that think it's too late or whatever, and they still have so much time. And their kids are probably younger than mine at this point. We started early. A lot of people started later in life in their 30s or so, and now they're in that 40s. And it's like, there's still a chance for you to be the good dad, the good husband, the good leader. But it starts with you. So if you don't take responsibility for yourself, you know, what chance do you have to be a good husband, a good father, if you can't even control yourself?
Amazing advice, Josh. Really well done. Really well, way to encapsulate everything we talked about today. So listen, man, people are going to be excited to hear about this stuff from you. There's going to be somebody, hopefully multiple somebodies that want to reach out to you and engage with you to be a trainer or to get their
Sure.
gutters done. So where do we find you, Josh?
Honestly, I forget most of my handles. Instagram, I believe, is Josh_Brinson6. And then TikTok is my main go-to here lately. And then I just feed everything from there. But that one's at Guardian Nutrition. And so that's where you'll see me most of the time from that. So, yeah.
All right, we'll put them in the closing trailer as well, so people can see and when they watch the video exactly how to find you and hook up with you if they need to. So, team, that's it. That's our interview with the amazing Josh Brinson. We've been lucky to call him a friend. I'm glad he was able to join us today. And so, Shane,
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, man. It's great to have you on. Shane, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, Josh. It's always a pleasure to get to catch up with you, buddy. We're in the same town. You're like me. We stay so busy, we don't often get together enough.
Yeah.
But always good to catch up. We text and we send each other reels. That's our
Yeah.
that's our level
man
of
talk,
communication.
you know?
That's our man talk. I send a bunch to Mike too. I know sometimes he's like,
some of them, dude. I just don't know.
Well, just know
you got to know your audience.
That's right.
It's probably something I got from Josh that I sent to you.
Probably right.
Okay?
That's probably right.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, but no, appreciate it. Great advice, great content. It's always good to see you because I know you're like me and a fellow an early bird warrior, crushing it early in the gym and getting it done. So appreciate you coming on. But Mike, how about us? Where can someone go and find this fine podcast, or if they're watching this, where can they go for some more information from us?
Yeah, if you go to leadershipignitionteam.com, you can find everything you need to find right there. All of our social handles or links to our podcasts, etc. Or you can find us on the ones you would expect on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram at Leadership Ignition Team. And come check us out. We'd love to help you coach your business, coach yourself. Just meet with you and help you figure out life. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. Well, let's put a big old topping on this one, Mike. All right, Josh, you're gonna Mike, you ready?
Yep.
All right. So thanks again for checking us out. And as always, let's get lit.
Bye, everybody.
Right. See ya.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership Ignition Team podcast. Go to our website at www.leadershipignitionteam.com to subscribe to our weekly newsletter, engage with us, and find again favorite podcast networks, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.